the first part of our investigation, when we're looking at the evidence that the state has provided us for a DWI arrest, is the very beginning why the cop initiated a DWI arrest in the first place. That's usually for one of three reasons. The most common is they pull you over for a traffic violation, a standard run-of-the-mill speeding ticket, not using your blinker when you're turning, swerving in your lane, any of a number of hundreds of traffic violations that people get pulled over for all the time. The other two most common are that you were involved in some sort of car accident and the cops showed up to investigate the car accident, or you fell asleep in your car late at night and the cops are doing what's called a welfare check, where if they find someone sleeping in their vehicle, they knock on the window and make sure that that person's okay. But by far the most common reason that a DWI arrest occurs is because someone was pulled over for a traffic stop. So what we want to look for is there evidence that the traffic violation the officer pulled you over for actually occurred, or did that cop just make it up as an excuse to stop you and try and arrest you for something else? So did the officer pull you over for a legitimate purpose? And what we're going to be looking for is the video of your arrest. There's always going to be a camera on the dashboard of the cop car, and usually on a body camera that the cop wears on their vest. And we're going to watch both of those videos with a fine-tooth comb. And the dashboard camera in the cop car is usually triggered to turn on and start recording 30 seconds prior to the officer turning on their siren. So as you can imagine, if you're driving around and a cop pulls up behind you, and before they even turn on their siren, that dashboard camera is catching what you're doing ahead of them or behind them, depending on, the situation. And we should be able to see from that dashboard camera whether or not you actually committed the traffic violation the cop said you did. So if he said that you were swerving in your lane and that's why he initiated the stop, well, we want to see, did you actually swerve in your lane in a way that would have triggered a traffic stop? Or were you speeding? Well, we want to see the radar record that they clocked you at, which would be usually in the dashboard camera. There are all sorts of radar detection equipment that's also being recorded. If we can't readily determine that you did actually commit the traffic offense that the cop claimed you did and gave him the reason to stop you, well, then we start fighting the case at that moment. We file what's called a motion to suppress, and we go in front of the judge and we have a hearing about the fact that, well, the cop didn't actually have a legitimate reason to stop our client in the first place. So anything after the point that the cop illegally pulled our client over cannot be used against our client, and that evidence is suppressed. And the judge would make a ruling on that. Sometimes that same question can go to a jury, but most of the time we file it in front of the judge alone. And if the judge agrees that there's no evidence to substantiate the traffic violation that the cop claimed occurred, then we might get the case dismissed right then and there.